This iconic building is symbolic of Victorian Bradford's prosperity and confidence. Good morning everyone, I'm at Centenary Square today at Bradford, and behind me is the majestic City Hall. Now a lot of our viewers may not know that this was not the original town hall. It was actually located that way, which I'll show you later on in the film. And around about 1897 Bradford became a city, and in 1966 this town hall became City Hall. So let's get a bit closer, because I won't take you inside because there's quite a few channels who've already done the interior of this amazing building. I'll quickly show you the exterior before we get into the film itself. Now, depending what you read or where you read it, there are around about 35 sovereign statues, including an oddity of Oliver Cromwell. Now here's the main entrance, or one of the entrances, and you can see a sovereign statue there of Queen Elizabeth. And on the other side is Queen Victoria. And here are examples of more statues. The statues were actually carved by architectural sculptors William Farmer and William Brindley, craftsmen, stone carvers of Westminster Bridge Road, London. They cost £63 each to carve and were crafted from locally sourced cliffwood sandstone. Now this is a Grade 1 listed building, and the architects were the famous Lockwood and Mawson. The architects created two sets of designs, one in an Italian classic style and the other more Gothic. The city chose a Gothic design, but both versions included the distinctive clock tower. And here we have the blue plaque on the City Hall. It wasn't just Lockwood and Mawson who were involved in the design of the building. We had a couple of other architects. Firstly, we had Richard Norman Shaw, who designed the extension to the building in 1909, including the council chamber and banqueting hall. We also had Walter Williamson, who contributed to the design in 1914, adding a new civic staircase. There's some police vans here, because just behind there is the Bradford Police Museum. I don't know if anybody's been in there. It's a fantastic little place to have a look at. Let's get a bit closer. I don't know if you can spot the statues. Let's get on this side here. I have actually, I believe in 2017, been up into that clock tower and taken photographs of City Park just across there. Bradford 2025, City of Culture. That's what it's about. Anyway guys, I'm gonna bring in Mark now. We'll give you the story of the Old Town Hall. Catch you later.
Today we're in the centre of Bradford again, and we're in the Foster Square area, just around the corner at the bottom of Church Bank. And you can probably hear in the background noise of construction and works. And that's quite fitting really, because this area of Bradford was subject to a lot of redevelopment during the years. For example, back in the 1800s, the Foster Square area wasn't a shopping zone. It was more an area occupied by a lot of warehouses devoted to the city's textile trade. So down here in Foster Square, to my right we have the old post office building, to my left we have the newer Broadway shopping centre, and just over there is a statue of William Edward Foster, and that statue serves as a pretty good reference point, because it was there where a long lost street called Swain Street met Foster Square. and Swain Street is the focus of today's story. As I'm looking at you now, I'm also actually looking in the direction of where Swain Street used to be. And on Swain Street there used to be a building which was actually a very important historical building for Bradford. It was known as the Station House, and inside it, that's where the fire engine was housed, and also it's where the city's watch was based. But in addition to that, it was also a place where local eminent gentlemen used to come together to conduct municipal business, i.e. Bradford Council. So I suppose you could say that the Station House was Bradford's first town hall. So upon occupying the Station House in 1847, one of the first things that Bradford Council did was establish a police force for Bradford. A few years earlier, the Bradford Observer had noted in its pages that Bradford was, in quotes, infested with thieves and vagabonds, the doors of its inhabitants besieged with beggars, whilst riot, drunkenness and street fighting is carried on with impunity. So once the police force had been put in place, the Station House became more known as Bradford's police station. This space within the Broadway Centre, which is just behind the food court and it's near the lifts going up to the car park, this is the area where the Swain Street police station was housed. With so many different bodies occupying the same premises, it didn't take too long for the inadequacies of such a small, limited space to surface. So it was decided about 20 years later, in 1867, that a larger town hall needed to be constructed. And so this location was chosen as the perfect site for a new town hall for Bradford. And on the 10th of August 1870, the foundation stone was laid, and the proceedings were overseen by the Mayor of the day, Mark Dawson. And actually a procession of councillors walked from the offices in the old Station House on Swain Street. They walked to this very site to observe the proceedings, and the stone itself was tapped with an ivory mallet which had been presented by Councillor 𝗕𝗥𝗡, who was also the son of the Sir 𝗕𝗥𝗡. After the council and the police force had relocated to what is now City Hall in 1874, the old Station House was redeveloped and more warehousing was built on the ground. And you can actually see that that was the case in old archive aerial photographs and also street plans from the early 20th century. But in the late 50s, when those warehouses were demolished to make way for the vulgar 1960s redevelopment of Foster Square, some of the old police cells were actually found to be still in situ, complete with bars on the windows.